You just saw your coworker close on a house. Your college friend won't shut up about their crypto portfolio. Meanwhile, you're sitting there wondering if you're even doing okay with money. Truth is, you probably are. Most people have zero clue what normal actually looks like financially. We're all comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel, and that comparison is making you think you're failing when you're actually ahead. In this video, I'm going to show you the real signs that you're financially stable, the metrics that actually matter, not the fake Instagram version of success. Some of these are going to sound too basic to count, but once you see what the average person is dealing with, you'll understand why they're huge. I'm the honest dude, and I break down money topics for people building real wealth, not just trying to look wealthy. If that's you, hit subscribe. Sign number 1. The end of the month doesn't fill you with dread. If the end of the month doesn't come with dread, overdrafts, or choosing between gas and groceries, that's financial progress. Seriously, if you can pay all your bills on time without sweating it, you're ahead of where you think. I'm not talking about being so rich you don't notice bills. I'm talking about rent gets paid, phone gets paid, utilities get paid, you can buy groceries, and none of this requires elaborate financial gymnastics, because millions of Americans are playing a different game. They're doing financial Tetris every single month. Which bill can wait? Which one absolutely has to get paid? Can I negotiate an extension on this one? That's not budgeting. That's survival mode. And millions are stuck in it. When you can't pay everything, these things follow. Late fees punish you for being broke, which makes you more broke. Credit damage follows you for years and makes everything cost more. Mental energy drain bleeds into every part of your life because you're always doing math about what you can and can't afford. I watched this happen constantly when I was working retail during college. Same hourly wage, completely different stress levels. The difference wasn't income. It was whether people had made financial decisions that matched what they actually earned. One guy I worked with always seemed chill about money. Turns out he was debt-free with a 3-month emergency fund saved up. Meanwhile, another coworker making the exact same amount was constantly stressed, always picking up extra shifts just to stay afloat. Same income. Completely different financial realities. If your bills get covered consistently without panic, that's not nothing. That's a foundation most people are still trying to build. This isn't just about avoiding late fees. It's about protecting your mental bandwidth so you can actually focus on building wealth instead of just surviving. Sign number 2. You're not lighting money on fire with interest payments. Here's something that should make you feel better. The average household is carrying over $9,000 on credit cards, $9,000 at 20% interest. That's almost $2,000 per year just evaporating in interest for stuff they bought months or years ago. If you're not bleeding money on credit card interest, you're way ahead. Look, not all debt is evil. Student loans suck, but at least you got an education. A mortgage? You're buying an asset. Even a car loan for a reasonable vehicle you actually need. Sometimes it's necessary. But credit card debt for random purchases? That's wealth destruction in slow motion. The trap is, it feels manageable at first. $50 here, $100 there. You tell yourself you'll pay it off next month. But next month never comes. You add more to it instead. And suddenly, you're staring at a balance that'll take years to clear if you're only making minimum payments. I did this exact thing in college. Got my first credit card and thought I was being smart by building credit. What I was actually doing was buying stuff I didn't need with money I didn't have. Took me way longer than I want to admit to pay it off, and I was paying interest on pizza and video games I'd bought months earlier. If you're not carrying a big credit card balance, if you're paying it off monthly, or you've avoided that trap entirely, you're in way better financial shape than a huge percentage of people your age. You're keeping money that would otherwise vanish into interest payments, and that money can actually work for you instead. Sign number 3. Your money is actually working instead of just sitting there. About 55% of Americans don't own any stocks. Not in a 401k, not in index funds, nothing. So if you're investing literally anything, even $50 a month, you're doing better than half the country. But I'm not maxing out my retirement accounts. Yeah, neither am I. But that's not the point. The point is, you've started. You're in the game. Your money is compounding instead of losing value to inflation. When I first learned about investing, I thought it was something only rich people did. Like, you needed $10,000 minimum to even open an account or something. Then I discovered you could start with $50, and I felt like an idiot for waiting. Here's the math that matters. $100 a month invested from age 25 to 65 at a 7% return becomes about $250,000. $250,000 from skipping a few dinners out monthly. The people who retire broke didn't have some catastrophic disaster. They just never started. They kept waiting for extra money that never appeared. If you're putting money into investments regularly, even if it's not as much as you wish, you're building wealth. Progress is progress. You're letting compound interest do the heavy lifting, and that's exactly what wealthy people do. Sign number 4, you've got a buffer between you and disaster. About 40% of Americans would struggle to cover a $400 emergency without borrowing money or selling something. $400, one car repair, one surprise medical bill, one emergency flight home. If you have $1,000 sitting in savings, you're better off than a massive chunk of the population. But financial experts say I need 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. Yeah, and that's the goal. But getting there takes time. A lot of people never even start. Having $500 to $1,000 means small emergencies don't wreck you financially. Laptop dies? Annoying, but you can replace it without going into debt. Car needs tires. You handle it. When I was working at a shipping warehouse during college, I had basically zero savings. When my car broke down, I had to throw it on a credit card and spent months paying it off with interest. If I'd had even $300 saved, I could have avoided all that stress and extra cost. Your emergency fund doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to exist. Here's something important. If you've been nodding along to even 3 of these signs, you're probably doing way better than you think. Most people can't check off even half this list. Keep going. Sign number 5, your net worth number isn't depressing. Millions of Americans have a negative net worth. Everything they own minus everything they owe equals less than 0. The median net worth for Americans under 35, about $14,000. $14,000. Not much, but at least it's positive. If your net worth is positive and trending upward, even slowly, you're ahead. But I'm nowhere near being a millionaire. Me neither. But wealth building is a marathon, not a sprint. Your net worth goes from $5,000 this year to $8,000 next year. That's progress. Maybe $12,000 the year after. The direction matters more than the speed. I used to obsessively check my net worth and get discouraged because it wasn't skyrocketing. But when I zoomed out and looked at the trend over years instead of months, I realized I was making solid progress. Just didn't feel dramatic in the moment. As long as the line trends up over time, you're winning. That's the metric that actually predicts long-term wealth. Consistent upward movement, not explosive growth. Sign number 6, you worry about money, and that's actually good. Wait, what? Yeah, here's something nobody tells you. Financially stable people still worry about money. If you're anxious about your finances, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're engaged, you care, you're paying attention. The people who never worry about money fall into 2 categories. They're either absurdly wealthy or they're completely checked out and heading toward disaster. Rich people worry about money all the time. Warren Buffett still tracks his expenses. Millionaires still stress about their investment allocations. The difference between productive money anxiety and destructive money anxiety is this. Are you worrying while taking action or worrying while doing nothing? If you're stressed about not having enough saved, but you're actually saving consistently, that's healthy. Your anxiety is pushing you to make better decisions. If you're stressed but not changing anything, that's just suffering without progress. I worried constantly about money when I first started trying to build wealth. Thought something was wrong with me. Turns out that discomfort was exactly what pushed me to learn more, earn more, and invest consistently. Your financial anxiety isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're awake and paying attention, which puts you ahead of everyone sleepwalking into retirement with nothing saved. Sign number 7, you're making progress, even if it's slow. Final sign, you're doing better than you think. You're making progress, even if it's incremental. Maybe you paid off $500 of debt this year. Maybe you started contributing to your 401k. Maybe you just stopped impulse buying garbage you don't need. All of it counts. Building wealth is boring. There's no viral moment where you suddenly get rich. No lottery ticket, no perfect stock pick that makes you a millionaire overnight. You get wealthy slowly, consistently, by making slightly better decisions than the average person over a long period of time. Save more than the average 6%. Avoid consumer debt. Invest regularly. Live below your means. Do that for 10, 20, 30 years, and you end up way ahead. But it requires patience. Most people don't have it. They want instant results, don't see them, and quit. I had a friend who made $75,000 a year but was always broke. New car, expensive apartment, constantly eating out. Looked successful, but had nothing saved. Meanwhile, another friend made $55,000, drove a used Honda, lived in a cheaper place, and had $40,000 invested by age 28. Same age. One looked rich. One was actually building wealth. If you're still showing up, still saving, still investing, still trying to improve, you're going to win. It's just a matter of time. That consistency is what separates people who build wealth from people who just talk about it. The reality check. Look, I get it. It doesn't feel like you're doing well when everyone online seems to have it figured out. But here's what nobody tells you. The average American is not financially stable. They're living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt, and praying nothing goes wrong because they have zero savings. If you can pay your bills without drama, you're avoiding destructive debt, you're investing consistently, you have some savings, and your net worth is trending up, you're way ahead of where you think. And here's the best part, you're in control. Small improvements compound massively over time. You don't need six figures. You don't need to get lucky. You just need to keep making better decisions than average. That's it. That's the whole game. If this video helped you realize you're actually doing better than you thought, hit that like button and subscribe for more honest breakdowns about building wealth. And if you want to see exactly where you stand compared to the average American, including some statistics that'll shock you, check out this video where I break down what normal really looks like financially. See you in the next one.